I do feel what's been coming this morning, which has been coming through, is really to loop back around again to this. I feel like it's really not clear enough, this understanding that you really, really see this thing about pain. Right. And the thing that I was really looking at and seeing is that do you want to close the doorway up? Is that the thing to notice is that you're so fast to stick to the level of experiencing. So whether you are in the body-mind level of experiencing the emotional body, the psychologically, all of that, the identification with that sticks so strong that then there's this urge that you want to be free of pain, natural, right? The ego doesn't want pain. You want to be free of pain, it's natural. Then when you get a moment of direct experience of pure awareness, you get a moment of recognition where you see from a different level. You see from a dimension where you know that you are free in an instant, you know it. And then you want to stick to that. You want to keep that. And you don't want this human business, right? This stickiness is what changes. This stickiness, because it's all here right now. It's all the dimensions of what this actually is, and this whole existential reality that we're experiencing has many levels to it. It's not one level. So why you try to stick on one level, right? So what never experiences pain, what is always free of pain, is here right now. And in any moment when we are inquiring and we are investigating, in any moment, just with a little bit of pointing, shoo, you're right there, seeing that there is a part which is not a part of you, which is not in pain, while there is extreme pain on the level of human accumulation of memory and experience and memory body. There's pain happening, and you're knowing within that, in the moment of recognition, that you're also directly experiencing that you are not of that pain. There's a place in you which is not a place, a part of you which is not a part, that never is in pain, never ages. What part of you never ages? You keep having these birthdays, this body gets a few more wrinkles, you know, it starts changing, the body is happening it has a duration. But what part of you, which is not a part, is not changing at all when these birthdays come and go? What part of you is ageless? All right, so this ageless, timeless I call it an aspect, but it's not an aspect. It's the very core of being. It's the beingness. But the more I use words, the more the mind attached to words. So it's a very tricky thing because you're always attached to the words, the mind does. And especially when you listen to teachings or you read books and da da da, so you gather the understanding. And then it's like, but I thought that I've heard it said that there's no more pain, free of pain. Well, yeah, that's true. There's no more pain for who you actually are as a being. A being does not experience pain. It's not experiencing, it's just being, right? But there are states of being, and one of those states is pain, right? What is experiencing pain is what's going to determine how you experience that. Because when pain inevitably comes on the human level, which is part of the human journey, just like we see birth happen and we see death seems to happen to every human body, right? Not only a human body, but the flowers, not going to, how long will this last, But look, just look, it's not complaining about the process at all, right? Because it doesn't have a mind. So, but this body, it is in that process of a beginning and an end. Always. I don't know any body that never came to an end. Only the ones still alive, of course, right? But it's inevitable. It's the suchness. So the body mind, the suchness of the body mind includes pain. And if there is attachment to the identification with that, then you are in pain. However, if you see the suchness, you see the suchness of this human journey, you see it for what it is. There's an unconditional acceptance that your human doesn't need to do. It's inherent. Just like it's inherent, you don't argue, don't start arguing with God about like why have I got to like age, or why has this body got to age? Why? I mean, some do, or fight with the reality of everything will pass away. How do you think you're going to win that fight? You know you're not going to win that fight. So it's a hopeless, pointless. You don't struggle with it. You don't argue with it. It's the suchness. It's the suchness. So there's an inherent unconditional acceptance by seeing in the suchness, by seeing for what it is. Coming with that is an unconditional acceptance. Every stage of life is the suchness. The suchness. It's the suchness. So part of the suchness is human heartbreak, the limitation of this fragile human form. It's delicate, it's fragile, it has needs, it has, it needs a lot of care. It's a very fragile so if you are attached to the identification with that, of course you're going to experience identification with that. You will experience identification with that. I have to know your name. I call your name, you turn around. There's an identification. You experience identification. But if you are attached to that identification as if it is you, and you take it to be you, and you take everything personally, and you try to, everything is all wrapped around that belief, then when pain comes along, because it's part of the journey, you struggle with it and fight with it and search for some other enlightened reality where that won't be anymore. But what you really want to be free from is not the pain that's being experienced, but the attachment to the identity within the pain. That's what you get free of. And then pain can be experienced, is experienced just for what it is, the suchness. And within that, you also wake up to the fact of how you yourself create and perpetuate more of it. You become the pain. You are actually the driver of it, unless it's like physical pain or it's coming from circumstance like that. But to understand how mentally, emotionally, habitually, out of patterning and investment in that, how you go on creating experience that you don't want. So all of this changes, all of this changes with your eyes open when you can see. Seeing is the beginning of all of this completely and utterly. Completely changing. But it doesn't mean that experiencing is not here. So when you really are clear about you as a being, yourself as a being, your real self, which is not separate, there's no separate self, there is no separate self, right? And I don't ever ask you to believe my words in that. I always invite the investigation of that you see it for yourself. There's no one in there. There's no separate self. And I did see your comment, Joanna, this morning. I just skimmed it a bit late, Yeah, there never has been a separate self. And there is still, the play goes on as if. But your identification in that, your attachment to that identity is the source of pain. So is it true that living awake as who you really are, that you're free of pain? Yes, it's true. It's free of pain. Does it mean you won't experience it? No. You will experience it, but there's no suffering. Suffering is gone. You don't suffer because I don't know your definition of suffering, but to me, suffering is it's ongoing. It's ongoing and mental suffering. You don't suffer. There's no sufferer. There's no sufferer. So I don't know if that's helpful in any way or makes it any a little bit clearer or whatever. But if not, tell me. And once you know this and you're at home in your being, you're a being. When you're at home in your being, pain is met differently. Pain, there's a welcoming of whatever experience is here. I don't ask your human personal identity to do that welcoming. I'm not suggesting that. Yeah. But you welcome the human. Yum, yum. That is so delicious. But there is a bridge when in your human level, you also come to, in through a process, you also come to accept things. You know, like the wonderful teachings of Eckhart Tolle, and he would say like simple things to people like, you know, you fight with what is. And in that, the mind gets it, the personal level gets it. Oh, I'm fighting with what is. Okay, I give up. And that's the process on the human mind level that then lines up with your being. It comes in alignment with your being. So that's valid too, right? So instead of trying to stick to one level, like absolute awareness where nothing touches this, or being stuck in a personal thing, it's all is here at the same time, which is the truth. It's all here at the same time right now. And so what you're going to be waking up more and more in is having more control without the controller over your attention and what you're doing with it. You know, that's the whole purpose of meditation after all, right? Was to develop that the mind is not running you, that you can direct your attention, you can take it away, you have enough space to be able to withdraw your attention from mindfuck or place your attention where you want it to go. Or it's the whole gift of meditation to develop the ability to witness. And yeah, it's the beginning of many seekers' path. It was the beginning of my path too, meditation. Yeah.